Welcome to Podcast Circle. I am the creator and host, Alex Hitt. On each episode of Podcast Circle, we bring together a group of entrepreneurs and business owners to have roundtable discussions about our experiences building and running businesses today. While I host and moderate the conversation, the views and opinions expressed by each guest are their own. I do not endorse any products, services, or advice shared on the podcast unless explicitly stated. With that said, let's jump into our introductions so you know who has joined us today.
Dr. Barrett Matthews with Media Boss Pro, MediaBossPro.com.
Laura Lorenz, Top Floor Mentoring, TopFloorMentoring.com.
Brad Fisher, C-Suite's Executive Offices, CSuiteExecutiveOffices.com.
Lori Kirstein, Impact Communication Solutions, ImpactCommunicationsolutions.com.
Sandra Carter, Video Grows, VideoGrows.com.
Cesar Alcazar, Daznuv at Daznuv.com.
Dustin W. Stout, founder of Magai, Magai.co.
SJ Baraconi, Beacons.ai, SJ Superconnector.
Rolf Waldring, The Right Talent, TheRightTalent.ca.
Monique Slaughter, I Consult Group, iConsultGroup.us.
And the topic of discussion today is, how do you manage work-life balance as an entrepreneur or business owner? Barrett Matthews, would you please start us off?
Sure. I'm probably going to contradict everybody here, but I don't think there is a balance. I think that in life we have different things that take up different amounts of time and different amounts of energy, and work can take up a lot of time for some, and family could take up a lot of work for others. I think that in your life, you have to figure out which one you're going to give most of your energy to without trying to jeopardize the other one. And with me personally, I'm a little different than many, and this is why others may disagree with me. I have family, but I don't have a wife and kid, but I do have a large family, and I do spend a lot of time with them. But I also spend most of my time working on my business, and I ask them to understand, and they do. I don't get complaints about you're not spending time with us. I don't, not my friends either. I don't get a lot of complaints from them because they understand what I'm doing. And to me, I'm doing something that's greater than me. It's greater than my business. So with that in mind, I don't feel any guilt or shame for not spending a lot of time with them, because I know that what I'm doing has a bigger purpose than just spending time socializing with people. And don't get me wrong, I enjoy it when I do, but I'm not taking away that time from people because they respect what I'm doing.
I totally agree with Barrett. I was going to say the exact same thing. I think the lines between work and personal are very blurred since the advent of technology, because people can get a hold of us at any time. I feel like for me, I work out of my home. And so by about 5:30 every day, I turn off my computers, I walk out of my home office, and I spend time with my husband because my kids are grown. But during the evening, my husband and I both check our emails to make sure that there's no crucial things that we have to be taken care of. You know, I think that we're so conditioned to now do that it isn't as big a deal as back in the days when it was 9 to 5 and you went home and you had dinner and you had your family. The whole world is kind of has that blurred line of work and life balance. You just have to make very, very sure that you are spending the right amount of time with the people that matter to you and that they care about you, because if not, your relationship suffers. So make sure as you're trying to manage the work-life balance, you're definitely taking enough time for the life.
Yeah, I would say the key word here is boundaries. I've got 5 kids, so sports galore, so sometimes I just have to say no to various events that I'm asked to be a part of. But there are times when I need to tell my family, hey, I can't be at the soccer game tonight because we've got an important event that I need to be at. So it is a challenging thing. It's a daily struggle. But as long as you understand the importance of both your family and the fact that your business provides you with your well-being, you got to take care of your business too.
So for me, there is no such thing as an overlay of work-life balance. Work-life balance is something that happens based on how I am feeling, because you can't get your best work out of yourself if you are just always pushing, because I've done it and I kept failing. And the fact is that until I learned that how I feel is the launching pad for everything in my life, including how I come to my business, how I come to my prospective clients, how I come to my business friends and my personal friends, and usually they become one and the same anyway. If I don't have that, then I'm all scattered and I'm having to parse out which is work and which is life. No, it's my whole life, and I want all of it to have quality. So I go towards the flow of energy and towards whether I feel like I'm having a good time even when I'm having a really weird time or not.
Work-life balance is a misnomer in my book. I have long since realized that take care of me, or I can't take care of anything else, not the business or family, and then to be able to tolerate certain conditions that are not critical, like dust bunnies. Until the dust bunnies grow and start to have a life of their own, I sometimes am able to ignore them. Ultimately, it all gets taken care of. So there are some non-negotiable things like the part of taking care of me involves about 6 hours sleep every night and sometimes 7 on the weekends. So that keeps me physically able to deal with what I have to do day to day with the business and with managing a household.
It's interesting what I'm hearing from a lot of the entrepreneurs these days, and everyone here is mentioning it. And it's the fact that there is no work-life balance, to be honest. And I am a father of 4 and a husband primarily. And so my kids run in and out, and I just have to work through it all. If we go to a soccer game or to an event, I'm still working, but I'm still engaged with my family. So there isn't that much of a difference in that sense. And it's funny because there's an image and it shows a lion in a cage. And then there's another lion outside prowling, and they say the only difference is one of them has 3 square meals a day, but he's in the cage, and the other line has to figure it out. And so that as an entrepreneur, that's what we're doing. So that work-life balance almost doesn't really exist. It's just how we overlay our own lives with our families, making sure they're taken care of emotionally and everything else. But we also have to take care of our business, which again is a very selfish and jealous entity that we have to figure out how to make sure they're taking care of us as well. So it is a conundrum to be in, but again, not too many folks can figure out how to traverse that inconsistency of life, work, and the balance of it.
So I've been working home for almost 10 years now. Before it was cool, before it was the thing to do, people thought I was crazy. So I also have 3 kids. I don't have 5. Good Lord. 3 kids is enough. But what I've found over the years is a few guiding fundamental principles that help me to find some degree of work-life balance. I think there is some degree that is attainable. I don't think anybody has it perfect, including myself. But some of those principles are the Parkinson's law, which says that work will expand to fill the time allocated for it. And I also believe very heavily that you're a product of your planning or lack thereof. So for me, I'm very intentional about my schedule. I'm very intentional about the tasks that are on my plate. And I'm very intentional about the boundaries that I put in place. And I was encouraged to do this by hearing a bit of homework for the listeners and everybody else who's interested. Go look up the story of Eminem, the rapper, and his work ethic and how he treats his creative flow as a 9-to-5 job. It's fascinating hearing how other musical artists have worked with him and his discipline in his craft. Whereas most of us artists, I tend to be on the creative side, but also on the development side. We tend to think, I just got to create when the time comes. But if you become a master of your creativity, making it a discipline rather than maybe it'll come, maybe it will not, you can very much find a cadence that you can stick to. So I'm a big fan of planning at 5:30 or 6-ish, depending on the day. When I cut off work, when I'm done working, I'm done working. And aside from the occasional crisis that's happening, I am done working, and I do not look at my email. I do not check the channels in which work comes through until the next morning. And it's been hard. It's been a discipline, especially when you're working on internet projects that don't close their doors. They are open 24/7. So I believe that it's hard, but with discipline and understanding that you are the dictator of your time. And if you don't dictate your time, other things will. You can find work-life balance, although never perfect.
I'm going to start with a mantra. Create for yourself a lifestyle where your work fits in seamlessly, replacing a work style where you struggle to live a full life. That is what I've been doing for a number of years now, because I believe the future of work, which is already here, is asynchronous. You integrate your work in your life rather than balance it. The corporate industrial age is over. The gig creator economy, the independent workforce era is already here.
Well, I look at this a little bit differently. It's not about work-life balance. It's about who's in control. We can see business executives saying, you got to come back to the office. Yet one of the things that we learned at the beginning of the pandemic is that many people who are highly productive were highly productive at home. The issue is about who's in charge. If you're in charge of your life, as so many folks have talked about here as an entrepreneur, you can work more hours than some people would think is reasonable because you have that sense of control. On the other hand, as so many legal TV shows have shown, if you work for an organization which says, you're not going to have a job here if you're not here at 7 in the morning and stay here to 9 at night, you lose that sense of control.
It's control over my own life as an adult, which allows you to find balance, however you find that balance, whether you find it through work, whether you find it through engaging with your family, whether you find it through engaging socially, or whether you find it through continuing to develop yourself as a person. Control is the issue that leads to your sense of balance.
I love all the feedback that was shared today. One of the things I'll say is I am the queen of delegation. So I'm quick to delegate tasks that are not in my zone of genius. I'm not a marketing guru. I don't pretend to be. So I delegate that work off to other resources to create that balance that I'm looking for. So I don't let my business now become my corporate job. And so I'm able to set boundaries a little bit better. If corporate America taught me anything, it's the art of delegation. So I do it extremely well now that I'm an entrepreneur.
I really appreciate all the feedback from everybody. I think something that we came to is that work is changing. The concept of it in the digital age and the online age of entrepreneurship is changing. Personally, I have a lot of discipline in what I do. I go by my calendar every single day, but I've learned things about myself. At 3 p.m., I clock out and I'm done. And I do kind of busy work and tasks in the background on my laptop, sitting on the couch with my family and friends. But I realized about myself that work starts to have diminishing returns at some point. And sometimes it's best just to get away from it and come back later when you can be more effective.
Well, it's funny what you just said there. One of the things that I do is I will clock out at a certain time and come back in. I tell people, sometimes people have criticized me saying, you work all the time. And I'm like, no, I don't. I just work different hours than you do. You do a 9 to 5. I don't. You have to sit through traffic in the morning and in the evening. I don't. These are things that we just do things differently. I don't work all the time. And there's another thing is that I enjoy what I do. So the fact that I enjoy what I do and the fact that I work different hours, it changes the outlook that everyone else has on me because they don't really understand if they're not in it.
So as Chase pointed out, the world of work is changing. Monique has said that one of the essential skills you need is to be able to delegate. Other people have talked about meeting your family needs as well as your work needs, which brings me right back to the issue. Who's in charge and how do we personally satisfy the balance we need in our lives?
I think that we in this group are very blessed that we are entrepreneurs and we do have that control over our time. Not everybody is as blessed as we are. That there is no doubt about that. We also have all the headaches of running a business and doing all of that. So being able to find that control, I 100% agree with Ralph, is really the key there.
There are a couple key things here. Takeaways. First, know your personality, your social style. Second, know your biorhythms. And third, there is a law of diminishing marginal returns where the work that you put in does not get productivity out, it becomes busyness.
I used to think that there was only one way of working, which was to work and not enjoy it. And I don't think that it's so much about being blessed or not blessed, honestly. I think it's understanding that there is a massive mindset difference and understanding of who is in charge of your life and how you can actually start to get to the place where you can do your life and your work, the kind of work you want to do, your way.
So I've got a fishing analogy. I love to go fishing, okay? And we all are entrepreneurs, and so every day we are fishing. We're fishing for our next client, fishing for our next deal, whatever the case may be. But we are not working for the man. So I can go out on my boat, and I can go fishing for catfish all night long, and I'll enjoy it. It'll be so much fun. But if somebody told me, you need to catch 8 catfish tonight, otherwise you're fired. That's the difference. We are doing what we love versus being told to do what we should do.
That's a wrap for this episode of Podcast Circle. Thank you to all of our guests for their insights today. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe wherever you're listening. Also, head over to my website, alexhitt.com, to find additional resources, to attend upcoming online events, and to apply to be the next guest on Podcast Circle.